हाँ, लज्जा, रजा, रस्वती, नंदा, भवानी, पामनाशिनी, पापनाशिनी.
Shall I continue?
We can. I think we will continue.
Okay. So the next nama is Lajja. Lajja is a very common term. We understand it in the sense of modesty or shyness. But in terms of interpreting that word for Devi, the Shastrakaras apply both the explicit meaning of the word Lajja as it is used in our day-to-day exchanges and cryptic meaning associated with the word Lajja. We'll see both. For example, even in Saptashati, in the Stotra, we have one particular reference wherein we come across Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Lajja Rupena Samsthita Namastasyai 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 Namo Namah. So there Devi is praised as Lajja, one who is present as Lajja in all the human beings or in all the beings. Because when we see the entire stotra, we will see it is more or less like the Vibhuti Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita. How or where can we recognize the power of Devi in our daily exchanges? This is what that stotra is all about. So we have many other manifestations in which we can see Devi. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupena Samsthita, Matra Rupena Samsthita, Buddhi Rupena Samsthita, Smriti Rupena Samsthita, even Nidra Rupena Samsthita. So there we come across the term Lajja. So Lajja or shyness or bashfulness means the inherent nature or inherent capacity to desist from anything which is considered as papa. Now, anything which is considered as sin, right? Why would a person desist from performing a sin, a papa? This is a very big challenge in front of the Smritikaras, Smriti, the writers of the different Smritis. What is Smriti? I'll just take a minute to explain the difference between Shruti and Smriti. Shruti, we know it refers to the Veda and the ancillary texts that helps in the study, propagation, and preservation of the Veda, such as the Vedangas and others. So if Veda is one corpus, Veda has to be protected. It has its structural and textual integrity has to be protected. So there are certain Shastras which help in doing so, such as Siksha, phonetics, Vyakarana, grammar, Chandas, metrics. And in promotion of the principles or the teachings of the Veda, so there we have certain other Vedangas such as Kalpa and the Jyotisha, which are of direct application in, they come hand in hand in direct applications. So Shruti refers to the entire knowledge corpus which is centered or which is Veda centered. And Smriti, normally we refer to Smriti as the Manusmriti, Yagyavalkya Smriti, and others. They are like the law books, the code of conduct. Shruti, by itself, the nature of Shruti is that the information or the knowledge which is there in Shruti is absolute in the sense because it is Vastunishta. It is, if we want to use today's term, it is complete objective science. It will describe the existence or it will describe the reality as it is. That is why, while studying or interpreting the Vedic passages, the dictum was very, very clear in front of those who are writing the Bhashyas. Veda cannot contradict daily or Veda cannot contradict experience. So if there is anything that appears to be contradicting our experience, for example, if there is something that says something else than what we actually experience, then the interpretation has to be offered for that particular passage in such a way that it makes sense. That is why the Vedas have 3 levels of interpretation. So anyone who is very, very serious in studying about the Vedas and its interpretation, we should definitely look into the writings of Sri Aurobindo. Sri Aurobindo offers the threefold layers or perspectives at which the Vedic mantra has to be looked at. The Adhyatmika, Adi Devika, and the Adi Bhautika level. At the 3 levels, it has to be explained. So if it is not making sense in one level, it will make sense on the other level. So coming back to the basic thing, the Veda or the Vedic information or knowledge is Vastunishta. That is, it is immutable. It cannot change. Whereas Smriti is Vyaktinishta. It depends on person, interpersonal relationship, and intrapersonal relationship. How a person reacts or interacts with the nature, with his fellow beings at an individual level, at a unit level, or at a national level. And how he handles himself. All this is the subject matter of the study of Smriti. So why did they make this twofold classification of Shruti and Smriti? Because there are certain core concepts which are immutable, which cannot change. And there are certain needs, because as the society and the humans evolve and grow, their needs changes. Therefore, there are certain principles, especially which is sociological in nature, which needs constant upgrade. Or else you will be left with what we have in many of the desert cults, with a law which cannot be applied today, yet we are trying to force upon that law. So our Smritis were evolving. What Manusmriti says about a particular situation, Yagyavalkya Smriti will have a different approach because the society changed. So it took into consideration time, it took into consideration the different geographical areas and locations and others, and offered guidelines. For example, if you have to take a simple mode of worship in a tropical climate, it cannot be applicable for a place like mountains. Right from the availability and climatic condition, everything is different. So the Smriti ensured that it is dynamic, it is adaptable to meet the changes or needs of the changing society. At the same time, the core values were preserved and not compromised. So in the Smritis, the first thing comes is what prevents a person from committing a sin. A lot of analysis has gone into it. There are theories of punishments, deterrent theory and others. Finally, it comes to a conclusion. Until unless the system is built within each and every individual to see an act to be against the spirit of dharma, one cannot prevent crime. All the other measures are in place for different other reasons. They cannot completely eliminate. They can control, they can act as deterrent and others. So this ability to see something springs from a much deeper emotion called the lajja. Feeling shy, having committed a sin, feeling oneself small after committing a mistake, and therefore, so that he does not undergo that emotion, one stops from performing or one stops from committing a sin. This is the larger thing. And Devi as Lajja is that aspect inherent in beings which prompts him to not commit an act seen as a sin. So that is the interpretation for Lajja at the level of Devi. Now, this is the first level interpretation of Lajja. There is an Adhyatmika interpretation of the word Lajja. So, while giving the Adhyatmika interpretation, we will have to go back to the previous Nama, Tilottama. I did not mention that because with Lajja, it will make more sense. Lajja in the Tantra Shastra vocabulary refers to the bija Hreem. Hreem is called as Maya bija. It is also referred to as Lajja bija. Why is it called as Maya or why is it called as Lajja? Maya performs twofold acts during the for the Srishti to continue as Sthiti, etc. It is covering the inherent nature of ourselves as being Shiva, and it is projecting what is as what not and what not as what is. These are two Shaktis which are called as Avarana and Vikshepa. Avarana means to cover. Vikshepa means to project. So when we say Lajja, Lajja is a lakshana, in sense, a secondary way of saying covering, because that is what we observe amongst the women folk, that they cover the faces in order to exhibit the shyness or modesty, right? So just taking a clue from that, Lajja refers to the act of veiling, act of covering. So the power to cover. So what happens with this Avarana Shakti in place? We are unable to see ourselves as Shiva. Then there is a Vikshepa. Vikshepa means projecting what? Something which is different from the reality. This happens in the 5 Kanchukas, Shiva, who is Sarvajna, omniscient, is made to believe that he knows only little. Shiva, who is Sarvashakta, omnipotent, is made to believe that he is having limited agency, limited powers. So, what is the true Swarupa is now shown as something different. This is the power of Vikshepa. And Vikshepa was indicated by the previous Nama, Tilottama. Because Tilottama is referring, like we saw, to the celestial dance. Now, in the act of dance, there is one, in the classical dances at least, there is one very, very peculiar usage of what we call as mudra, gestures. So, depending upon the theme of the song, the emotion of the song, the mudras will convey different meanings. So, using the very same 10 fingers, the hands, and all those things, different ideas, different emotions, different meanings are conveyed by a good dancer at least. So, this is the power of projection. All that is being understood by the audience when we look at the dance performances. We are able to understand it. Nobody sees that during that time as a human body with 10 fingers and arms. There we are seeing an object which she is bringing on the stage for us using her mere gestures. We are literally seeing objects. We are literally seeing people. We are literally seeing emotions there. So this is the power of Vikshepa. So as Maya, she performs Avarana and she is performing the Vikshepa. The Vikshepa indicated by the Nama Tilottama and Avarana indicated by the Nama Lajja. So she is Lajja. Next Nama is, I think, Nanda.
Yes, correct. Nanda,
Nanda.
Nanda, Bhavani, Papanashini.
No, sir. I think there is one Rasavati. Yeah, I missed it.
Rasavati. Yeah, Rasavati.
Rasavati. Rasa, one which is the essence. Rasavan, possessor of the essence. Rasavati, the feminine form of that. So Rasavati means anyone or anything that possesses rasa. Rasa is a very generic term to refer to the essence. Even in a fruit, the essence of the fruit is called as phalras, amras, etc. But in the Upanishads, as well as in the Agamas, rasa is the term used to refer to the Supreme Shiva himself. We have statements such as Raso Vai Saha. He indeed is rasa. Why? Because his intrinsic nature is bliss. And rasa is the intrinsic bliss. So it is from this concept of rasa as an intrinsic bliss, which was fully developed in the Trika, that Acharya Abhinav Gupta, when he wrote the commentary on Bharata's Natya Shastra called Abhinav Bharati, he came up with one of the most original contributions to the understanding of the sentiments in any dramatic performance or in any performing arts. It is, we don't still have any other better alternate to explain how we enjoy a performance. Because Acharya Abhinav Gupta bases it in the agamic conceptualization of rasa as intrinsic bliss of oneself. So Rasavati is Shiva who possesses the Ananda Shakti. So she is, because when we refer to Shiva, Shiva and Shakti are one. So one who possesses Ananda Shakti, Rasavati. The very next nama, Nanda, is like coming in support of the previous nama. That the word rasa here indeed refers to Nanda. Nand means to enjoy. Nand means to enjoy. It is from there we get the word Ananda itself. Samantat Nandati iti Ananda. So, Rasavati Nanda. One whose essential nature is that of rasa. Now, rasa is felt at each and every, for each and every being in all the kinds of interactions. That is why when you take stock of the Navarasas, it is not stopping short with just Shringara or Hasya, or even let's say Veera. These are the three predominant sentiments which we see people enjoy. Right? It has to be either based on romance, it has to be otherwise based on comic sense, or it has to be based on valor, heroism kind of thing. But it also includes others such as Bhayanaka, Bhibhatsa. Bhayanaka is terrific. Bhibhatsa. Bhibhatsa means something which is very, very frustrating, no, which is very, very, you just desist even experiencing it. From there also, Rasaswada is being explained. Which means that every experience has the capability of leading us to the Rasaswada. But it is very easy to go from positive emotions. It takes a lot of spiritual discipline to go to that state from what we normally conceive as negative emotions. Okay, you can still go, but it is much more easier. That is why in Vijnana Bhairava there was a very, very clear mention of listing of those experiences which we normally consider happy or blissful or something wherein we enjoy the taste rather than the other. So anyway, so Rasavati Nanda. Next nama is Bhavani. The core nama around which the entire Sahasranama is built. Bhavani, from whom the entire existence originates, comes from the Sanskrit dhatu bhu, to be, to originate. So bhava means creation. Bhavani, the power responsible for creation. We have seen this idea being reflected in multiple namas in an indirect way, but here it is an explicit, straightforward telling of the idea that she is responsible for the creation. Because when we were seeing the various tattvas and what each tattva stands for, at the Anashrita level, Shiva is as pure existence, which is the Tattvatita level, Tattvatita Tattva. But when we speak of the word Tattva itself, it means that we are talking from the point of view of the existence, origin and all. So there we start with Shiva and Shakti. Wherein Shiva and Shakti, though they are called as two, but they are essentially one. Without the Vimarshanam happening within the Prakasha, that is, without the first impulse emerging in the consciousness, resulting in the desire to manifest, desire for one to becoming or appearing as many, the entire Srishti would not take place. And that Vimarshana happens because of the Shakti Tattva inherent in Shiva. So even though it is the Shiva Tattva which is manifesting technically up till the Prithvi, it is because of the activation or emergence of the Shakti Tattva, which is the Vimarshana, that the process itself is kick-started. So she is called as the one who is the power or one who is responsible for the creation to take place. So from where the Bhava, which is creation, originates. Right? Bhava is also one of the eightfold manifestations of Shiva. Shiva manifests himself as Ashtamurtis. In the Agamas, you will come across the concept of the Ashtamurti form of Shiva. Ashtamurti is nothing but the five Mahabhutas. Okay? Prithvi, Ap, Teja, Vayu, Akasha. Then we have Kala. Then we have the Purusha, the individual. Kala is measured by sun and the moon. So, making it 8. 5 plus 2 plus 1. Totally 8. And each of these forms are given or assigned a particular nomenclature. The very first shloka of Abhigyana Shakuntala, Kalidasa starts with the reference or with an obeisance, a Namaskriya verse to these Ashtamurti forms of Shiva. Ya Srishtihi Srashturadya Vahati Vidhihutam Ya Havihi Ya Chahotri Ye Dvekalam Vidattaha. So it goes on. In this, the water element is called as Hava. So Shiva as a representation of water is called as Hava. The other namas are Rudra, Sharva, Bhima, Pashupati, Mahan, etc. So Bhava is water. And it is considered to be the Adya Srishti, that which is primarily responsible for the physical creation to take place. So the power of Bhava is Bhavani. So Bhavani is the concert of Bhavarupi Shiva. So there are many kshetras which are dedicated to Bhavani across India, manifested and worshipped in her different forms. One we know is the Kshir Bhavani. The other is in the Tulsapur. It is the Tulsa Bhavani. Then we have Hingla Bhavani. There are almost 8 Bhavani Kshetras. I'm not able to recall others. So Bhavani is a form of Devi which has been under worship for a very, very long time. And from the Laukika Prayojana Drishti, Bhavani is invoked especially by women who seek to have children. So Bhavani is the Devata prescribed in many of the Puja Kalpas and manuals for the women who are having difficulties in childbirth, delays in pregnancy and others. And the moment the child is born, a grand worship is organized in honor of Devi Bhavani. This practice I have at least seen in many of the regions across India. So Bhavani is, from functional point of view, is the aspect of Devi which ensures the progeny. And when you look at it from the macro level perspective also, you know why. Because Bhava means origin. One who is responsible for the origin of life. One who is responsible for the manifestation of life. So obviously she would be the one who would be worshipped for the Laukika Prayojana also. So Bhavani. That's the next topic. Papanash. One who destroys the sins. Papa is also at the consequence level, at the causative level. That which makes a person to commit the sin, that is at the causative level. The result of an action which is against the spirit of the Shastra, that is at the phala level, at the result level. See, Papa should be understood to be different from crime. Because what defines Papa and what defines crime are entirely two different set of books. There may be certain which are common, but the source is different. Crime is defined by the governing law of the nation. So, if we are living in India, it is the constitution which will define what is a crime and what is not a crime. Whereas Papa is defined by the Shastras. At times, what is not seen as a crime by the constitution will be seen as a Papa. So here we are talking about Papa because Shastra is responsible for guiding our do's and don'ts in our life. From the ultimate society point of view of the Sanatana Dharma. For example, had our country not adopted the so-called secular constitution, probably we would be governed by the laws which are much more closer to the Shastras. But we choose to go a different way. That is why there is a lot of differences in the definition of a crime and a Papa. So this is this understanding is important from today's the current lifestyle point of view. So Papa Nashini, she destroys the sins at two levels. Now, there is an opinion which says that what you have done will bear fruit, and no amount of prayaschitta can actually negate the sin. There is one such viewpoint existing. The other viewpoint is a prabala punya will completely dissolve the effects of the papa. Therefore, it is as good as saying that it is destroying the phala itself. Say, for example, you have half a glass of water. You were supposed to add a pinch of salt. By mistake, you added half a teaspoon of salt. Now the water has become extremely saline. In order to remove the salinity from the water, either you separate the water, the salt from the water through some means, such as evaporation and others. That is one way of doing. The other way of doing is add, let's say, 20 or 25 liters of water more. So this salinity is like completely neutralized and it's not fit. This is what our Shastras prescribed by Prayaschitta. So Prayaschitta is always prescribed going uh, by the quantum of the papa. There used to be the practice of dharma sadas, wherein the elders who are well versed would assemble, study, understand, and then prescribe Prayaschitta. Today, there is no such concept. I am saying that Prayaschitta was also not a blanket rule. It was very, very specific. Prayashchittas were used from a very, very specific uh, user point of view, customized to the user, right? So she destroys the effects of Papa through the prescription of Prabala Punya as laid down by the Shastra, because she is Shastramayi. She is the one who is the Shastras. So she is Papa Nashini from the result level. From the causative level, what causes Papa? Papa is caused because of not having a clear understanding. So there we are going from Papa to Pasha. What are the three Pashas? The three Pashas are the three Malas. So removal of the three Malas ensures no further sin could ever be created. So Papa Nashini at the causative level means one who destroys the three Mala by giving the Samyak Jnana, the right understanding. Because Mala, we have seen, we have already considered this multiple times in our system, is misunderstanding only. So with correct knowledge, the improper or misunderstood viewpoint could be correct. So she destroys the Papa. Papa Nashini. Pattambara Dhara. Patta, Ambara, Dhara. These are the three constituents of the Nama. Patta means normally silk. Ambara, garment. Dhara, wears. One who is clad in silk garments. Patta, Ambara, Dhara. why are we talking about this? Because we have seen as a kind of a semantic unity in the way the namas are arranged in the Sahasranama, till now at least. Previous nama, the next nama, or the subsequent nama, somehow they will be connected with each other. Our previous two namas was about Avarana and Vikshepa Shaktis of the Maya and the essential nature of the Shiva, which is covered by the Maya, which is Nandana, Rasavati and Nandana. During the Rasavati and Nandana, okay, then we moved on to the creation. We came to the Nama Bhavani. In creation, what actually causes creation is the three Pashas. Okay. So she is the destroyer of the Pasha. So we are talking about the evolution and the involution. Suddenly there is a Nama which says Patta Ambaradhara, one who is clad in silk garments. How do we make sense in the entire sequence? Normally, Ambara as a cloth means that which covers. Right? Ambaradhara, one who wears. Patta. Patta has one sense as being silk garment. The other sense is of being ether, space. One who is covered by space. So, a very, very close equivalent of this Nama will be Chidambaram, the holy Kshetra, where Lord Nataraja dances and performs the Panchakritya through his iconographic description. Because Chit Ambaram, because Chit, consciousness itself is the cloth there. He is covered by consciousness. When we speak about sky or not sky, ether or space, here we are not talking about the physical space. We are talking about the pervasiveness aspect of, so it's a Lakshanika Artha. We have to take only the pervasiveness element from the sky and apply it to the Ambaradhara, which will render it very, very close to the Nama. One who is clad with all pervasive consciousness. So now let us connect. Papanashini, she destroys the sins at the causative level by giving the jnana that she is the one who is the all-pervasive element. And that all-pervasive element is the essential core essence of each and every sadhaka. It is this samyak jnana that destroys the papa or that destroys the three malas. Knowledge about oneself being essentially chit. We may think why to go about such tedious way. It could have given the Nama directly. Vaishri Guru used to say, if that was the case, then the Shastras could be easily be read by a person and understood. And he will not understand the value of a Guru. There was a reason why the Shastras were prescribed to be studied under the directions of an experienced teacher. So without the teacher explaining, there are certain sukshmas which will not be understood. Even in Mahabharata, it is said there are around 8,800 shlokas in the entire corpus of 1 lakh though it's not 1 lakh, it's roughly around 88 plus 1000 only. The entire thing, around 8,800 shlokas, are considered to be extremely cryptic in nature. They are very, very gudhartha. The others you can make sense, but there will be one gudhartha shloka which will be there in a particular context, which you require someone to explain, and then only it will be made clear. So, Shastra is also acting like an ambara only. Just as the ambara covers, at the same time reveals the contours of the body, similarly, it will reveal at the same time hide. Okay, so coming back to, she is Pattambara Dhara. The next nama is Gatihi. Gatihi, Gatihi only, right? Pattambara Dhara. Gati. Okay. Gati means movement.
Actually, it is Geeti.
Geeti, oh, sorry.
Geeti.
Geetihi. Geetihi means song. Geetihi means song. Geeta. So Geetihi, the ability to sing, ability to praise. Singing is equivalent to praising. In the Prayojana, that is in the Prayoga, during the Shrauta Yajnas, the Vedic sacrifices, the Rig mantras were used to invoke the Devatas to the Yajnashala. Yajus was more about how to do sequencing, what happens next in the rite, what should come before, later, who should do what dravya should be used, all those. Once the Devatas have come down to the Yajnashala because of the invocation from the Rig mantras, to please them, Samagana used to be done. So the Samaveda was chanted in order to please. Even now we use music as a form of amusement. Okay? Entertaining or amusement. So even to an extent that we have songs not only for the joyous occasions, but we also have songs for occasions which are very, very tragic, for mourning. So why do we have songs for mourning? Because it is believed to give comfort. The rhythm, the tune, the lyrics, they are supposed to give comfort to the people who are suffering that loss. So Geeti is that element of articulated expression of sound which gives happiness. So when we call mother as Geetihi, we are referring to her not only as music, but everything such as music which she has bestowed upon us to give comfort, to make us feel happy, to give us a sense of an exaltation. So she is Geetihi. Similarly, the next nama Sugitihi also. Sugitihi and Geetihi are of the similar, wherein with the prefix of Su, all she is trying to indicate is that, look, because this is at a worldly level only. When we speak about the worldly level, we always try to grade or we always try to classify the level of happiness. In the sense, in Taittiriya Upanishad, there is a passage wherein the ability to enjoy is graded for different beings. So it starts with Manushyananda. Okay. Then it goes on to Gandharvananda, Devagandharvananda, Devananda, okay, like this. So the ability to enjoy the bliss as the person evolves is greater. Even in our Shastra, there are 7 types of Anandas, which Acharya Abhinavagupta makes list. Starting from the Jagadananda. So, the concept of the difference between Gitihi and Sugitihi is in Sugiti, by adding the prefix Su, you are trying to introduce the gradations of pleasures, the gradations of ability to enjoy the bliss. Because remember, the bliss is not coming from the object outside. How much can we enjoy with the interaction with a particular object? With a small anecdote, I will let's complete this session. If the same object is given to, as per the Upanishadic thing, if we go to a Manushya, to a Gandharva, to a Deva Gandharva, to a Deva, and let's say Brahaspati and others, and to Brahma, the Chaturmukha Brahma, the object will be the same. But the level of bliss that each of the people enjoy would be to the power of 10. That's what the Upanishad says. How is it even possible? Can we even understand this? Yes, you can understand. Say, there is one, you go with a group of people to watch a good movie, right? There is one a particular scene depicted in the movie which the director has very brilliantly handled. Handled in the sense the eye to the detail that has gone into in the composition of that particular scene, the director has done. So the same movie is visualized by 2 or 3 different people. One who is not conversant with the intricacies will only see it. The other, who is slightly familiar, will be able to recognize, this is very brilliantly made. The third, who is deeply into it, the particular subject, when he sees that, he can appreciate to a full measure the abilities of the director in creating that particular scene. I think this experience we can all have in different contexts. So this shows how the same object, when viewed by different people with different exposure, creates a different sense of relish in each. So this differentiation of levels is what is referred by the 2 namas, Gitihi and Sugiti. With this will close.
Yeah. We will stop here, Shekharji?
Yeah.
Okay, ji. Yeah. Next line we'll take it next week.
Yeah.
Thank you, Shekharji.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.
Namaskar. Pranam.